how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest of the tribe of Manasseh, and I am the least of my family. Gideon wants to disqualify himself from the call because he questions his own ability and his identity. He says, my clan is the least important of the tribe of Manasseh, and to make matters worse, I am the most insignificant of my family. Simply put, I'm a nobody. Basically, Gideon knew that he did not have the credentials or capabilities to be the leader and liberator of Israel. But God gives him the correct answer to his doubt. In Judges 6:16 the Lord answered, you will defeat the Midianites as if they were one man, for I will be with you. Indeed, Gideon, you are a nobody. But it doesn't matter who you are, what's important is who is sending you and who will be with you when you do these things that are impossible for you to do alone. This makes a big difference. Although we are nobodies in the eyes of the world, what is important in the work of the Lord is who is with us. And the God of the covenant has promised to be with us every day until the end of the world. Our shortcomings, limitations and inabilities are supplied by the presence of our great covenant God. But Gideon still presents a third doubt. Now he wants to make sure with sensory evidence that he is not imagining all this but that it is undoubtedly a call from God. Judges 6:17 If I have earned your favor, give me a sign that it is actually you who is speaking to me, Gideon replied. We are moving from skepticism to consideration of possibilities and now to sensory assurance that he was being called by God. God, in his patience, gives this clay vessel, this fragile vessel, gives a total of 3 signs that this was not his imagination, but a true calling from God. The first was that from an offering of meat and unleavened bread placed on a rock, fire came out of the rock and consumed these elements. He convinced him for a moment, but apparently not enough because later he asked him again for another sign. On that occasion the sign requested was that Gideon would put a fleece of wool on the ground, and the sign would be that if that fleece dawned wet with dew but the ground around it was dry, then it was true that God had chosen it to save Israel. The next day, the fleece was so wet that he squeezed out a cup of water, but the ground was completely dry. But not satisfied with this, Gideon now asked for the opposite, that the ground be wet, but the fleece dry. God, in his patience and mercy towards this fragile, doubtful, insecure and vulnerable vessel, performed the sign just as he requested. What patience on the part of God! I would have said, do you think I'm so desperate that I can't use someone with greater faith or greater abilities than you? But God persisted in fulfilling his promise of salvation using this clay vessel and was patient enough to confirm him in the call he was making to him. God always keeps what he promises. Let there be no doubt. Our shortcomings, limitations and inabilities are made up for by the faithfulness and power of our great covenant God. And God fulfilled his word to his covenant people, but he did it in such a way that it is clear to us that the applause here is not for Gideon, but here the glory